Hello everybody, Sad here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about Mammoth Biosciences. Of course, an article on fastcompany.com. And this article was published just a few days ago on the 18th of November. Can you believe it? It's already November. It's crazy, guys. We're 2022 November. We're going to be December in a week. It's crazy how time flies, right? Anyways, I wanted to cover this article for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's about Mammoth Biosciences, and I think this is one of those private companies that everybody has their eyes on. I mean, Prime Medicine was the second one in the genomic space, specifically in the CRISPR space, and now that they're public, I think Mammoth is now back to the top private company there, quote unquote unicorn, as some may call those types of companies. I would say Mammoth and Sherlock Biosciences, I think. But nonetheless, Mammoth here, an article here written by this person here called Alex Pasternak, right? So obviously talks about the company history, 2016, Trevor Martin, current founder and CEO of this company, alongside with legendary Dr. Doudna, came up with this company there, of course, with also Janice Chen, who's one of the leaders of these companies as well. They got funding from Alphabet. They got funding from Apple's Tim Cook. Of course, we're talking about CEO of Apple, the company. And of course, you know, they're trying to do something that most companies in the CRISPR space are trying to do, right? Human therapeutics. The interesting thing about this company is that they're more than just about human therapeutics, right? They're more than just about human therapeutics through genome editing. They have their own sequencing slash diagnostics, which they sort of already have FDA approval through emergency use because of the pandemic. If you guys recall, we made a video on this back in 2021 where they got emergency FDA approval for their hardware. It's basically a piece of hardware for detecting COVID. And I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing for this type of company. You know, when you think about Mammoth, you're thinking right away about genome editing, CRISPR. But the reality of the thing is they're already in conversation with the FDA through other means, right? And I think that really does matter. Building relationships with those types of entities will obviously help you in the long run. It can't harm you, right? It just cannot harm you when you think about it. And I've always wondered why CRISPR companies have not done this more. Right? Why does every single company, like CRISPR Therapeutics, NTLA, Beam Therapeutics, Verve Therapeutics, I mean, Caribou, why are they all focused on human therapeutics? I know Caribou is in a little bit in the vegetation. They're licensing the technology out to Genus, which is all about agriculture. But the point I'm making is why can't they just branch out from just human therapeutics? I understand being like laser focused, and I understand talent pool is limited and resources are limited. But what if you just take maybe 5 or 15 people from your team and start making them work on maybe another set of technology completely different on human therapeutics, maybe hardware, maybe something you leverage in CRISPR, maybe. It doesn't have to be even CRISPR. It could be something in whatever you're trying to achieve, right? Think of like, you know, Tesla, right? Electrical vehicles. Tesla is doing also superchargers for their electrical vehicles and non-Tesla vehicles at this point. When you think about it, they're not really, you know, just because you know how to build cars does not mean you know how to build superchargers, electrical charger stations. But they made it because they knew that they needed the other to survive, right? And it's vice versa. It's like a symbiotic relationship. And that's how I feel about these companies in human therapeutics. I think there's things that they can do that can sort of have this symbiotic relationship, and they can capitalize on this while they go through the FDA approvals for clinical 1, 2, or 3 phases for FDA approval for whatever program they're working on, right? I don't know if it's a business mentality in mind. I don't know. Maybe I'm simplifying things. Maybe it is a concept of me simplifying, but yeah. But specifically, well, this is what they were talking about: the detector boost PCR test, right? It was a form of PCR test, and they got the approval from the FDA to do that. And then on top of that, in January, earlier January, of this year. Basically, almost a year ago, they got a partnership with Vertex going. And I think what's interesting for this company, I think technology-wise, is I believe these are smaller Cas enzymes, right? So they're not doing Cas9. I believe it's Cas5, as they call it. Cas14, I believe, as well. Is it Cas14? Yeah, Cas14 and Cas5 families that they're working with. But nonetheless, they actually talk about smaller enzymes, and they say about how it's a important factor for specific diseases. Of course, it's all about efficiency and safety at the end of the day, and I think they're betting on that, right? So, and at the end of this interview, the interviewer asked, what's focus on the next? A new therapeutic, a new diagnostic target, agriculture, and then the CEO Martin says no comment. I would argue that the next question should be, when are you going public, right? I don't think the question is what's your next technology. They're already working on several technologies, so just like what we just alluded to earlier. So interesting article. I think I went over it there, and I thought I'll share it, give a chance to talk about Mammoth Biosciences, one of those companies that we often hear about. Because they're private, it's very hard to really have a full exposure on it. I've always said it, that's the main difference between a private and public company. Private company, the curtains are closed, Public company, the curtains are open. You can see everything. So, are they this valuable? Are there secrets that we should know about? Are there things that are not really going well for this company, but we don't know about because they're private? There's only one way to know, right? And it's for this company to go public. So I would say that's their next step for this company. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like this video if you found value. Subscribe if you're not. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.